Well, welcome in. It is straight up 7 o'clock. It is a Thursday evening, and it is time for another edition of Let's Talk Oconee SC. Good evening, everyone, along with my broadcast crew, including the Jazzy Yerba One and Cathy. And somewhere in a vehicle riding down the road is Road Warrior Rainy D. Good evening, everyone, and welcome in. We have a great show lined up for everyone, and we're going to jump right into it tonight. And we do have a special guest join us on our guest line this evening, and that is Joanne Johnson is joining us. And Joanne, I want to welcome you to Let's Talk Oconee, and you have some sort of a big project that's going to be going on this weekend. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. We have a foundation called In the Gap here in Oconee County, and part of what we do is a food pantry. And we are having a community-wide food distribution at Radiant Church right off of Highway 123 this Saturday, March 25th, starting at 10 a.m. until the food is gone.
Tell me a little bit about your program and how you got this started. And again, this is a great opportunity, a great idea, but tell us a little bit about how you got this started, Joanne.
Well, the past year and a half or so, I had gone essentially on a mission throughout the state. I wasn't exactly sure what God had called me to do. I knew that my foundation at the time, we were kind of stagnant. We didn't really know what the Lord was calling us to do with it. And so we essentially put it on hold. Now, back in where we had the pandemic and the tornado, of course, we mobilized and gave out over 850 grocery restart bags to people that had lost their power and then had their power turned back on again, and they lost everything in their fridge. So we were really honored to be able to help that way. But after that happened, the foundation sort of just sat there. And honestly, Jeff, we didn't know what to do. Well, fast forward, I took a job for the largest food bank in South Carolina. And I didn't know exactly what that meant, other than as the faith-based giving manager, my job was to call on pastors throughout the state and to just love on them and just sort of shepherd a lot of pastors in that way. But really what happened was, as I was learning everything that I could about food insecurity and childhood feeding, the Lord said, I want you to find out about the backpack program and how many kiddos are being fed throughout the state. And when I got that number, I brought that back and I went back into prayer. And then the Lord kind of nudged me and he said, now go find out how many kids are not being fed in the state. And I did that. And it took about 4 months. And as I'm listening to story after story about children who are going without, food, they're food insufficient, and they just don't have enough to eat either on the weekends, even if they're on the backpack program, which the backpack program is wonderful. It's wonderful. But, they don't have food during the week and so forth. What I learned is, one school in particular, when I called her, she said that she had been paying for it herself. And this is in one of our rural areas in the state. But she said she'd been paying for it herself for about 2 years. And I said, this is horrible. And she says, yeah, the kids come in on Friday. They're shaking. They're crying. They don't want to go home because they know they won't have any food. And of course, I'm saying this is awful. At which point she says, yeah, it's awful, but that's not the worst part, Joanne. And I said, what is the worst part? And she says, they're eating out of our dumpsters. And at that time, it broke me and it brought me to my knees. And I continued to try to get as many people on board to feed the children in our state as I could. Then we went back to our foundation. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And we went through a horrific time in our family with one of our children. And I heard the Lord very clearly. And he said, everything that I have shown you about food insecurity and everything that I've taught you about childhood feeding, I want you to bring that back home. So we turned the foundation on its head. We changed the mission. We changed everything. And we opened a food pantry. Within that food pantry, we opened a healthy alternatives pantry. So that is for people who are suffering with arthritis, diabetes, autoimmune conditions, gluten and dairy intolerances. And so it's a specialty pantry. And the thing about the standard food pantry that we're offering, it's a little bit different. So we are not looking to duplicate services in Oconee County. we are looking to work in concert with everybody. So as people come to other food pantries, and typically, you go, and if you're at 150% of the poverty guidelines, then you qualify to go to most pantries. Well, we're taking people at 151% to 186%.
Wow.
And those are the people who don't have enough month at the end of their money. They are working. Maybe they're single dads or single moms, or, they're just really hardworking people, Jeff. But at the end of the day, they just can't get it. They're having to choose between rent and their car payment, or, and daycare or food. And you might say, well, maybe they need to go get a second job. Well, guess what? They can't. They don't have daycare for a second shift for their child. They've already done that once today. So it's those people. Now, we don't care about guidelines for the Healthy Alternatives Pantry, because I don't know if people are aware, but gluten-free food is 240% more expensive than standard food. And then when you throw a comorbidity into that, like a dairy intolerance or arthritis, something like that, they simply cannot afford their grocery bill.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got our seniors who are having to choose between medication and their food. That can't happen. So we are trying to, give other pantries referral slips and say, hey, if you find somebody that you guys can't take because maybe it goes against your mission, send them to us. Other nonprofits, as they're identifying people, send them to us.
Let me go back to something you mentioned, what you were just saying a second ago, and I thought this was really powerful. We know that kids in Oconee County have a problem with getting the food, and I'm so glad to hear that you're also focusing on that too. It sounds like a wonderful program. How can folks help you?
Well, let me say this. Oh my goodness. I mean, if you go to our website, please, and you can donate monetarily. You can volunteer. So at this food distribution, we need people to help us pack tomorrow at Radiant Church between 2 and 4. We need help Saturday between 9 and 12 to go ahead and get food in the hands of people who need it. And one thing, Jeff, if I could, I didn't mention, in part of what God has revealed that we're supposed to be doing, that is childhood feeding. I kind of spoke to that earlier in the conversation. Well, children who are food insufficient and say they're on a backpack program, or their families just don't have, again, enough to get by. They typically don't have snacks during the day, during school hours, and they don't have enough to eat in the evenings. So we decided that we would offer snacks and juice to school children. It doesn't matter if they're middle school, high school, or elementary. And right now we're looking to help Oconee County, Anderson, Pickens, and in the fall we're hoping to pick up Greenville as well. And if we do pick up Greenville, that's going to give us 1,441 children a day to feed.
That sounds like a wonderful, wonderful idea and things that you're doing. I am so glad to hear this.
Well, let me tell you, it's only $20 to sponsor a child. So you can get with us, let us know, yep, my church or my organization, we want to be a part of this. We have 203 kiddos in Oconee County right now that we are either feeding or we have on our waiting list. And so we need your help. And again, think about that. Only $20 per month is going to make a huge difference. Did you know that children who are hungry, that are food insufficient, that they are twice as likely to end up with medical conditions?
Mm-hmm.
And they're also more likely to fall behind in school. And so we can, as a community, we can stop that. We could help that. And I maintain that we say children are our future, but how can they be if they're starving? And when you think about who children are going to grow up to be, and who will they not grow up to be because they're hungry, because they didn't have what they needed to get to where they needed to be, we can stop that for $20 a month per child. We spend that much going out to lunch one day. So that would be what I would plead with people is to please consider that and to please pray for us. And, again, with our food pantries, we're on appointment only right now. And we will be doing every 2 months. We're looking at doing a community-wide distribution. But until we get our location and we have our eye on a building, so please pray for that. But until that gets set up, we can't have volunteers unless it's, like I said, unless it's a food distribution.
All right, very good. Miss Joanne Johnson join us. And of course, if you remember the name, Joanne, you had a cooking show. You did some things on television as well at, was it WGGS TV, Channel 16 in Greenville back a few years ago?
No, they're still on the air.
I know they're on the air, but you did a cooking show, didn't you?
Yeah, there's two. Yeah, I did too. So there's Good Mood, Good Food, which is on every Saturday at 11 o'clock on Channel 16 and Channel 8. And then Empower Your Body, Empower Your Mind is on Channel 16 again, Saturday mornings. And I'm not sure. I think we were in Metro Atlanta on TV 57 for a long time.
Wow.
But yeah, we're in reruns right now. I just got to find some spare time to get back in the studio. And of course, the books. There's 3 books out there, one of which is a Bible study, and it is Overcoming Life's Challenges, the Lies, the Truth, and the Promises.
All right. Miss Joanne, thank you for joining us this evening, and keep us informed of things that are happening, and we'll be glad to tell our listeners what's going on.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
All right. Have a great evening. Bye-bye. All right. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, Joanne Johnson joined us here on the program. Thanks for her. 11 minutes after 7 Thursday evening. And Chris, welcome. And Cathy, welcome. We were not scheduled to do a show tonight, but I believe things have warranted us to do a show. We have a lot to get to, and I have no idea where we're going to start. So, Cathy, I'm going to let you begin tonight. Is that okay, Chris? Can I let Cathy begin tonight? We've never let her start off on the program.
I support it 100%.
Okay, great. I'm glad that you support that, because we're going to start with Cathy tonight. And Cathy, we have uncovered some other stuff here. We're going to let you start, and I'll fill in the blanks.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Have you got our clip?
Which clip are you wanting first?
Let's go with the county council clip.
It's going to take me a few minutes. No, I was not ready because I was looking at the other issue that we've discovered. We've got a mess on our hands right now. I mean,
there's so many.
There's so many. Go ahead and set the scene up, and I will start. Let's start with the school district first and the issue there, and then we'll move into the other one.
Yeah, well, I watched the school district meeting from the other night, and I just wanted to go back and rewatch the public comments. They're not there, folks.
Sorry.
They're gone. So I don't know why.
Cathy's right.
I was doing something wrong.
I went back and I verified. I watched March, and to the time of where they were supposed to be, they're not there.
They're just gone.
It goes right. They're gone. The whole video that had the public comments on the YouTube channel, School District of Oconee County. This what we're referring to is the combined. I even went back to the combined board meeting, which was in February. The public comments have been removed off of the video. So I went back to February, and in February, they're gone too.
Why?
Now, I haven't gone to January yet, but this is quite interesting and alarming. I've sent a text message to a couple of other folks to look at it too, to find out, are we missing something here? And so far, 3 other individuals says the same thing. The public comments on the YouTube clip for the public meeting of the school district of Oconee County are gone.
Yeah, I just wanted to listen to the comments from the fellow from the Dream Center. I just wanted to listen back to that, and he's gone. So yeah, don't know why. That was bizarre.
It is bizarre, but we've reached out, and like all things, we'll probably never get a direct answer or not. But anyway, we thought that was interesting. And Cathy, you get the credit on that. You were the first one to call it. You were the first one to see it. But there's just some strange stuff happening. Yeah. I wished I could give you the insight of what we really think it is. But not only that, but I want to go ahead and add it. You sent the superintendent an email concerning a question that was brought up on More to the Story. Luke interviewed, of course, Dr. Thorsland, and I'm going to let you describe that conversation, what happened.
Well, I had just asked him about the school, and I was just saying, hey, what do you think about putting in a special needs school? And he had, because of his response, he had said, well, that because with special needs students, they're supposed to be in the least restrictive environment possible. That's a law. That's a federal law.
Mhm.
Because sometimes students can be in a regular classroom, sometimes they can't, for various reasons. But the law is that they're supposed to be in the least restrictive environment possible. And I just, wrote him a note. Well, yes, that's true, but we still have state supported special needs schools. And I listed out the schools in the upstate that I know of that we have. So, what would be the problem with starting a special needs school? You know, the homeless shelters off the table. And from what I read in the paper, it sounds like the recreation center is going to be off the table. You got nobody going in there. Um, and not to get deep into politics, but we've got a Democratic president with a wife who's big into education and would probably be some federal money to support such an endeavor. And the reply was just that we don't have enough of a need here, that we don't have enough students to fill that kind of a school, and that they wouldn't be able. Let's see, how did he word it? That they couldn't start a school for one particular disability. Now, I haven't responded because what I had said was a special needs school that included autistic students. And I only said that because of the way the question was asked, that he said also autistic students, because sometimes special needs schools do not include autistic students. And there's also a lot of misconception about what autism is because of shows like Atypical and The Good Doctor and,
Mhm.
movies and stuff. So people think that it's just like a personality quirk or that kind of thing. And it's a spectrum. So there's a lot more to it. It's not just a little box that you can fit somebody into. So sometimes a special needs school doesn't necessarily include that disability as well. So that's why I asked the question in that fashion. And the response was that they couldn't start a school for just one disability, which was not the question. But I haven't responded to that yet. But I will. But
You're a prime example of what you're facing with a special needs child. And given what I know, there are kids that would benefit from something like this in Oconee County. I
well, it's
think
not.
it would be a great thing to have. We want to try to help all of the kids. And
Well,
this
yeah.
particular one is not, particular group is not being helped enough, in my opinion.
Well, and the thing of it is the way the county is so spread apart. The schools are so spread apart, and you have a limited number of therapists, speech therapists, occupational therapists, and they have to travel between the schools. So they're spending a lot of drive time, and they spend a lot of time doing paperwork and that kind of thing. If you had kids, and some of the kids actually probably need PT, depending on what their disability is. If you had the middle school is really close to the hospital, if you were able to have a school there and partner with them, you would actually be able to offer more therapies. I mean, because you've got parents, depending on, and I don't know what the exact statistics are, but one of the statistics that I pulled up, between the ages K3 through 8th grade, it was like something like nearly 20% of the kids have some sort of identifiable disability, whether it's learning disability or some type of disability. They fall into a category. So to me, that says, and that was several years old, and you know how much we're growing. To me, that says you're going to be able to come up with a couple hundred kids that you could put in there, especially if you opened it up to, say, Pickens and Anderson, because you got people in Townville that could drive over. You got people on the Clemson side that could drive over. I don't think you'd have any trouble filling it up. I don't think that would be a problem.
You
But
know, Kathy, you and I had talked about this earlier.
yeah.
And the thing that really angers me is, it sounds to me like he was being very dismissive and condescending. And I find that interesting, where it's kind of like, hey, yeah, we got one woman here. Well, he doesn't know you like I know you. I mean, you're a great advocate. But the problem is, there are a lot of people that for whatever reason, don't really understand what the rights are for their children. And they get these administrators and they blow this smoke at them. It's like, oh, the guy's got a PhD. I guess I should listen. Well, that's 100% bullshit. Now, he's got time to answer when somebody sues him for this crazy crap on that was done earlier about when they were teaching kids about diversity and stuff from the guy that we don't like to mention. But when it comes to a woman that has a genuine need that I have no doubt really would be legitimate, he can't bother to even have a one-on-one discussion or apply somebody to say, hey, let's look at this. And what I'm hoping is that people listening to this, especially an attorney that has it in their heart to say, listen, this is crap. Can you please reach out and help Cathy with this and represent her pro bono? This is important for this community. And I am so tired of somebody that I actually supported at one time until the crazy crap happened at the middle school, was pushing you off on something so important.
Well, I want to go back to a couple of comments. Number one, Luke posted best here, our good friend Luke Moore from More to the Story. What could possibly be the reason for the removal of the public comment sections?
Yeah.
I don't know. Everything, the clue and the key to it is that everything that has been removed was in reference to the middle school. From what I gathered, number one, Dorothy Pierce was the last one that we know that's what we wanted to watch those comments again. She made the presentation about the boarding school. That's missing. That is not on the video of YouTube. There was a couple of comments back in February that some of the folks that live here in Seneca from the Adams subdivision made. They're not there either. So it appears whatever it is been removed, it revolves around the Seneca Middle School. I'm not sure. I don't know the reason, but I sure would like to know, because we go into a little bit of an issue about public bodies, and this has been a Supreme Court case that was ruled on. Anything that a government agency posts far as like a public forum, you can't necessarily delete it or get rid of it. Again, there's a whole lot of understanding and a lot of things going on that need to be investigated. I do want to bring on a comment from our council representative, Don Mize is watching the show. Don, it's good to have you with us. He says, Jeff Bryant, the old Seneca Middle School needs to be converted to school for special needs children. Adults, someone like the Treble Center, and from what I understand, the Treble Center is busting at the seams. I think that you and I are aligned with this idea. And to be honest with you, we are aligned on this idea. Don and I are in total agreements when it comes to this, because we see the need for the special needs children in Oconee County. There's not a lot for our special needs children. And the Tribble Center, if you're not familiar with this organization has done such a wonderful job with our special need adult community. We have groups such as that. We have the ARC that's here in the county that are doing great things. But when it comes to the children, I really honestly believe this would be a great alternative. And let me think about this here for a second. I want everybody to think, you still could tie in a recreation area with this program too. So you satisfy both the community requirements.
It's got enough. I forgot how many acres it has, but I don't
20.
Couldn't do both.
22 acres. You have a gym. You have there's a lot of things that could be worked together. That I think this could be one of the greatest things that we're representing and helping a community. The city of Seneca wants recreation, which would expand that, but it's also working to help the special needs for either adults and or children. That to me would be an absolute wonderful thing. Real quickly, another comment. My wife checks in. I'll say hello to Lori this evening. She's watching. A huge part of the problem in Oconee is that many parents are not informed about the rights of their children. As Cathy, a friend of mine from out of state, cannot believe that parents don't advocate for more of their special needs children. Let me pull this back up so I can finish reading it. There should be more education and support for parents who need it. Good job. Thank you there, Lori.
They don't know. And a lot of the parents are younger. That's what I'm finding as I'm meeting, because as you go along, you kind of start meeting people. with children. You know, when you have a child with special needs, you start meeting other people with children with special needs, and a lot of younger parents are more intimidated when they go to have the IEP meetings and stuff. So the teachers will say, well, we don't really do that, or we can't do that, or this is how we do it. And they don't really argue with them. They don't say, well, no, I'd really like to have more of this and less of this. They don't question anything, and they don't know that they can get like advocates to step in and help negotiate, which is
let me
something that they're not going to say. And the other thing I wanted to say about Dawn's comment, when we got our diagnosis, I did talk with the director at the Tribble Center and they were great for a long time, but they don't have anything for, like, my son was diagnosed when he was 3 with autism. They don't have anything for children, and they don't have anything for autism. So while they do a great service, if that's another one of those disability specific type things where a broad special needs school could, and was another reason why we phrased the question and included autism, because some places do not serve autistic children or autistic adults. You know, it's kind of off to itself sometimes. That's why you have to say the word, you know. That's why it was misunderstood.
I don't want to get caught up. We've got so much. Chris, let me go to you, because we've got to go to a break here. Rainey is standing by here from out in the other part of the world. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah. So if you look at Don Miser's comment, you know, I mean, thank you. And I know he's watching. Thank you for that. Because the thing that's going on is, you know, Cathy really knows what she's talking about. But she's chasing 4 kids and doing everything she can. But Cathy very easily could be somebody that I don't even want to call it an advisor based on the limited time, but an advocate that could literally say, guys, listen to me. If the council could get her in front of the right audience that actually had the torque to push the school to do some of those things.
This is going to be a school board issue, but the school board needs to be listening to the constituents and the people. And I believe this would be a much better sell for not only the Seneca community, but for all of Oconee County in general. This makes sense. This makes total sense. We're serving our local people with something that they need a great deal of, while we're also protecting the recreation area. We're combining into the best of both worlds. This is what really needs to happen.
Well, we need an advocate that has the power to say, hey, guys, let's cut this crap out and start listening.
Well,
is that Don could reach out to the school board and say,
he can, but again, he is helpless to do that when it's all the school. This is school board. You've got five school board trustees. This is up to them. They are the ones that needs to make the decision. So now, Don is in a place where he can say, hey, look, you need to do this. This is a great opportunity. And just remember, when you start asking for money, I'm telling you, Don holds the power a little bit on the budget coming up when the school district wants money.
So basically, as we end this, the perception is that Cathy reached out and it was a condescending response to blow her off and not provide any help. And that's the perception that we're leaving with our audience, that this is bullshit, right?
This is correct. Chris, you're correct. But the issue too that we started off the show on is, why is the public comments missing off of those videos? And I guarantee you that our good friend Luke Moore is going to work on that, him and Jennifer. I want an answer.
Good.
Because enough, by God, enough is enough.
Yeah.
That was a public meeting with a video. Could you imagine? Check this out. Could you imagine if this was a county council meeting and they cut the public comment section off on a county council meeting? Could you imagine? Wait a minute. Could you imagine what that other group would do that we have a problem with? Could you imagine the hell that they would raise? Oh,
pitchforks.
It would be pitchforks. Well, this is the same thing. As a citizen, as a private citizen, we 4 here are collectively private citizens. This is a little alarming that the school board takes a video of a public meeting and it's gone. It's gone. It's gone. The whole public comment session that was in that video is completely gone. I got the issue with that. Randy Bond, where are we going to you at? You're way somewhere out of here. Where are you at?
Well, when we started, I was in Utah, and then I went through the Virgin River Gorge, and now I'm in Arizona.
Okay. Well, how was
Arizona.
the trip through the great state of Colorado?
Wow, I tell you what, it was snowy, and I had to buy a set of snow chains for the truck just in case. I'm hoping I can turn them here in Arizona, give them back, get my money back. But it's a law; you got to have snow chains to go through there this time of year, and I tell you what, it's kind of hairy for a little bit.
Well, we're out in South Carolina right now dealing with 78-degree weather. Now, when you left here, it was cold. You were freezing. I mean, it was below the 30s. Now it's sunny, and it's very nice out here in South Carolina.
Well, 15 minutes ago, it's snowing on me. Now it's 60 degrees in Arizona. I tell you what, it's a big, wild world out there. But I want to say this about the school board stuff. Mm-hmm. You know, Thorsland has been really lucky in Oconee County because just about all of your autistic children get homeschooled because Oconee County doesn't have any services. They don't have any services for them, so their parents have to take it on. And maybe this school voucher thing, these homeschool parents can get their money back from what they got to do that Thorsland can't provide. But I'm sure that if there was a great school for autistic kids and special needs kids in the county, you'd have a whole lot less homeschool kids.
Yes. And that you're exactly right.
I do. I agree with it wholeheartedly.
Just make it hard, and people are like, I got to take care of my kid.
People listen to us when we say this. You need to pick up the phone or email your trustee. Your school board of trustee needs to hear your comments and concerns, whether it be District 3, which is Sandy Sloan, Amanda Holder is District 1, Megan Ketterman is District 2, Denise McCormick District 4, and Buddy Herring District 5. The board of trustees need to hear from the people, because if you take your comments and concerns to the superintendent, rest assured those comments will be discarded faster than recycled trash in your computer.
And if you're not getting a response, then you need to make it very public with the media that we're paying these taxes and people don't give a shit, right?
Fill out and go to a school board meeting. You're given 5 minutes in public comment session. Air your grievance with your elected representatives. You know, we have a good amount of people now that are going to the county council meeting and they're having these discussions, a great amount of these people. But go to the school board meeting. Alicia, you can go to the SDOC's website at sdoc.org, sdoc.org, and you can find out there about the board of trustees. You can see their email addresses and their contact information on the sdoc.org website. If you do that and you go there, it's going to take the citizens to change what's happening. And a lot of the citizens don't understand what's going on in the school district, period. Last year we had 20-something teachers just mysteriously left. And now, again, it sounds like we've got another issue that's brewing towards the end of this year. That's a large turnover of teachers. And I know that education is a big issue right now in the state of South Carolina, but no joke. These are going to take the challenges of the people of the great county of Oconee. It's going to take you citizens to sit here and start airing these grievances. If you like what's happening, you need to speak up and say what's going on. It's crazy that we're having to sit here in 2023 and have this discussion where, we're paying a superintendent close to $200,000, and you would think that we should have the top schools in South Carolina, but we really don't. We have a lot of issues. We have turmoil, and they don't want to talk about that. They don't want to address that. I know firsthand how people are being treated. The school board, not school board, but the employees, the staff. I know firsthand what's going on. They can't say anything. Their hands are tied. If they say anything, there's a mark placed on their back.
Well, how many emails get sent that say, well, as long as I'm in charge here, that's not going to happen?
Hey, we know that for a fact. We're sitting on one. We had an email sent to us from a former employee of the school district of Oconee County, and it was the most condescending thing I ever read.
But who else says stuff like, "While I'm here, I'll rule this place"?
Well, yeah, there you go. Now,
I tell you what, that's them's birds of a feather. That's what they are. They ain't no different.
well,
And I'll stand on that hill and I'll debate anybody, anytime on account of that. That's what old gobble gobble turkey said.
Oh yeah, and you know what? I'm waiting for this till we get to that section.
Yeah, there. Well, there you go. Okay, it is 7:35. Again, thanks for the comments for folks checking in. But again, this is a major issue happening in Oconee County, and we wanted to bring this evening to your attention. Well, Rainey, wherever you've gone, I enjoyed the gobble gobble, but we have to go into something different now. There was an editorial. There.
Oh, good. Okay, I got it right here.
You got the editorial? Well, Chris,
yeah,
I want you. This is going to be your segment here of the editorial from the former county councilman Wayne McCall. Now, remember, we had drew a truce that we were going to mention Wayne on this show as long as he behaved and stayed out. Well, guess what? Chris, it's all yours, my friend.
Okay, so I read this last night about 1 o'clock in the morning. And I was getting it because I like to read it at night. And so, make a long story short, I read it, and you know, we talk about on the show about that barf pail, where somebody barfs into a pail and stirs it up, and you don't know whether to shit or go blind when you try to read stuff. So that's what I saw when I read this. And the very first thing is when this dude writes this crap about, I am fed up with the liberal agenda that has affected our council. Their utter disregard for public safety and their insistence on pushing their leftist policies at the expense of law enforcement funding is an outrage. Okay, I read that and I'm like, you know what? That is crap. That's basically just trying to deflect and try to feather your nest. So let me give you an example of this guy. I met this guy a while back. He's the one that's originated this crap and I live on the lake. I'm sorry, guys. I worked hard. That was my goal. I did it. Okay, so live with it. Now, he's the one that blames us for everything. He did it in the county council meeting, and I ended up going after him the next meeting, and then he apologized in public, and then he did it again. So now he's back. He's also the one that thought it was appropriate when he was in Walhalla and was being condescending to the councilwoman in Walhalla. Okay. Now
let's go ahead and it's Soraya Melendez.
Yeah. And he thought it was really funny. He got chuckles from some of his friends. It was really funny. Think about the children. Why are they making fun of us, Mommy, just because we look different and we speak Spanish? This is the guy that was the leader. Now let's talk about this sheriff's compensation. Really, Wayne, are you telling us something that we know nothing about? Are you telling us that you never were involved with this? Because these guys don't even know how to understand what the compensation level is. They look at numbers like, well, geez, it sounds to me like they're off a little bit. Oh, well, we ought to pay them this. No, there are things that you subscribe to and other counties do so you can truly get a measure of what somebody's compensation should be. And then you tackle it. But here's the thing. You gotta make it a priority. You will never have unlimited dollars and unlimited time to solve problems in the county. When you start chasing crap like Sewer South and this huge infrastructure cliff that we're getting into where we know it's a minimum of $50 million because we didn't do our job, you cannot take care of critical things. So I'm sorry, but I don't like this guy, and I think he's full of crap. I'll turn it over.
All right. Let me address a couple of things. First of all, county council last year and the year before last worked the hardest of any council to raise those minimums for the sheriff's deputies. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now
Jeff, the problem.
Wait a minute. Hold up. Now the council, the last 3 years council, which included Julian Davis, John Elliott, Glenn Hart, Paul Kane, and for 1 year, Matt Durham. That's 5 council members. They are the ones that have worked hard to bring up the deputy sheriff's pay. Sheriff's Mike Crenshaw, lowest paid sheriff for a county of our size in South Carolina. Wayne McCall didn't have hardly anything to do with that going back. Matter of fact, there was more hell raising of why the budget's going up. The budget's going up year after year. It keeps going up, up and away. But
I think that's what needs to be said, is that our deputies and our EMS and all of our county services are being paid on a pay scale that's decades behind any other county around us, in whether it's in South Carolina, North Carolina, or Georgia. They're decades behind. They're not county jobs are supposed to be those jobs that people aspire to get, not the ones that people can't pay their mortgages because they've got. So for him to say, "Oh, I don't understand this," or "We want to raise this to $50,000," well, hell, we all do. But what we really wish would have happened is 15 years ago, he'd have started a step process. Hindsight's 20/20, but looking in front of you, you just don't know. And I get it, but don't be armchair quarterbacking now.
Well, in the planning session that our current council just had, that topic come up. And there was really only 2 council members that I can recall in this planning session that did say, hey, look, we need to raise these salaries again. Don Mize made this statement and Julian Davis. I don't recall John Elliott or Glenn Hart, but I do recall Don making the statement that he would like to see the minimum starting salary of $50,000. Yeah, Rainey, you're right. We are paying for things that happened 25 or 30 years ago when we never caught up with the times. We never, ever looked up and caught up with the times, and we're paying for that. Take a look at our infrastructure. We're paying for stuff that happened 20 or 30 years ago. We haven't caught up yet, and we're paying for it.
But the thing about it is, we talk about this money, that we should be paying these guys. How do we know what the market is? These guys they sit there and they talk about, oh, it should be this, it should be that, politically to do it. There's a process in business to do that, to make sure you could get somebody to market so they do not leave. Because a lot of times they will overcompensate and it does no good. At the end of the day, you got to be fair. And it's got to be factual. And when you start attacking the essential expenses to protect our county and just politicize it constantly, that's why these guys are getting screwed. And he's a part of that group that did it. And he was with Etta when they did it. So, hey, save me the song and dance. Why is he talking about this now? Do you think he's talking about running again for District 2?
Chris, I believe I'm going to give you an applause. I have to give you the applause on that one because you get it.
There you go.
Well, you know what I think about? You know what I think about that? About like first responders and officers and stuff. I want them to be getting paid enough to care about me. Like if I'm in an emergency, I've had an accident. I want them to be getting paid enough to care, to come get me and take care of me and care about my well-being. Because if they're not getting paid well, then it's not worth their time to do a good job. You know what I mean? Then they're just going to be like, whatever,
I would tell them to leave.
I mean, it's like everything. It's like everything. If you're not getting paid well, you're not getting the best person, and they're not doing their best because it's not worth their time. That's what I think about it.
If you want
so you get what you pay for. It's like everything.
By the way, Sean Tilson checks in on our show tonight. McCall is the same guy that Durham asked to call and vet me for D3 county council, then lied about what I said. That's when I walked away from the OCC. I had somebody anonymously, hey guys, has just sent me a text anonymously. And it says, Wayne is a complex, interesting man with a diverse interest. You should know it by looking at him, but he's probably one of the wealthiest men in the county. That was comments that the suspended county councilman, Matt Durham, made. Somebody just sent this to me.
he's got that Dollar General over on 130 and brags about how he makes $1 million a year in rent off of that thing. He's a common man.
Yeah, but he's also threatening to cut the trees down if we continue talking about him on the
My
show.
God, that's all right. That's all right, because
done.
I bought me a sawmill. I'm ready for him.
Didn't he say, wasn't it in September when we made
Bring them on. Hey, you truck them logs from the lake at the mountain rest. I'll cut every damn one of them up. Let's go.
So Randy,
Can I say? Do I need to say that in Spanish so he understands?
Yeah, please.
Hey, didn't he
What
say?
about French?
Widows
Can you do it in
reso
French?
to mountain resto.
So when was this deal? Was it in September when he was very concerned that he didn't like us having any conversation about him? Was that September?
That was in September. I
And
had
his
a phone
agreement-
call.
And
I
tell
had
me-
a phone call. If we didn't mention him, I'll threaten to cut the trees around Kiwi Key. And I said, okay, all right, no problem. I said, as long as he stays out.
And
What is
Yeah,
it,
but
the
that's
War
before
Act?
I bought a sawmill. I'm
we
ready
did.
now.
We did.
And we did.
Hey,
We honored that
Paul.
agreement.
Hey, McCall, it sounds to me like I give a shit a lot more about Oconee County than you. And I live on the lake, and I didn't grow up here.
You live on the lake. You're one
Oh,
of those people.
Oh, yeah.
Oh!
What are the power brokers?
Did he grow up here?
Well, let me answer the question. Yes and no. His family used to take trips and had a cabin in the Jocassee River Valley before the lake backed up.
One of the rich ones. Yeah.
And he kind of stayed around after the lake backed up. There's 3 brothers amongst them. One worked at Duke Power. The other one worked for the Department of State DOT, I believe. And then Wayne stayed here. So a lot of the issues, but it's so funny that right before he went out of council, he made the statement that you'll never see me again. I'm going into the sunset and to hell with the Journal, the Seneca Journal at the time. There was a war between the Journal and Wayne McCall that he had never be in that paper again. Don't you publish me in that paper again, and blah, 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 blah. And then he made the video, the oh so famous, I'm a mean son of a bitch, right in front of the county council meeting, pointed over and said, I'm a mean son of a bitch. That's what he did. He did that.
He probably is. He scares me. I'd have
And
to
I'm not, and I speak a little Gullah, but there was war between the paper and him at the time, and here he is with a guest editorial in the Journal. I mean, this is just bizarre. It's weird.
Oh, that's it.
Well, the thing about it is, the thing about it is, the Journal needs him to run for council, and he's running out of stuff to talk about. And when Soraya gets in there, the council will probably be running the way it's supposed to. He won't have nothing to talk about.
But wait a minute. We have another one. Are you ready?
Yes.
Today in Tell Willie. If you've missed it, we're going to share it with you. Chris, are you telling us something that you're going to run for D1 for county council? Because apparently you have made one person in Tell Willie absolutely happy. You and Josh Owens. You two have created such love and admiration since apparently we are pushing the uniparty. Uniparty.
Wow.
Congratulations, Chris.
Chris,
What is the uniparty?
Chris, I'm very happy to know, but you've made who did this on Tell Willie, you've been very happy to show, and this is actually kind of serious, that a liberal Democrat and a Republican can come together for the good of the county. I think that's a great concept. I think there's a lot of people, but yet when you talk about working together and being neighbors, oh my God, it's the uniparty. You would think that everything that's coming out of the old booger picker's mouth. We are the uniparty, ladies and gentlemen. Join us here as the uniparty. Is this a new political organization, the uniparty? Now, I know what nonpartisan means, okay? And again, let me refresh it. Nonpartisan is city council and the school board. They are nonpartisan. So you kind of take the politics out of it. So where are we coming up with this uniparty? I mean, the definition of uniparty is you get rid of one and have another one. So
Well,
isn't
those
that
things
kind
get
of
made up. Those words get made up because we don't have a special needs school, and you got these guys down in Oakway that make up words like blah 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 and blah 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 and blah 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 blah. Well, what they really need is a speech therapist.
You
And
know,
so
you know what?
now they come out with uniformity.
Hey,
I'm gonna when I get back and I get my CDL and I've got that all finished. The next thing I want to do for the show, dig back in the archives of the Pete Ramble. We need to have a section on how the booger eater was wrong again. Because if you
well,
just
we're
go
already
back a
working
year,
on that. I mean,
you go back a year and he's talking about the other side of the fence on the options that he's on the things that we're doing right now. So he flip flops more
one
than a
of them
bass
was he
laying on the
stood up.
bank.
One of them, he said, I protect and support the farmers.
yeah, right.
I mean, we went back. I mean, we went back today as quality read material and saw all this. He was raising hell about the daggum Golden Corners Commerce Park, and all that money was spent. I mean, he was brutal. I mean, it was brutal. And here he is. Oh, we're gonna do. We're gonna put sewer.
About the jobs for my babies.
And then he was complaining that the sewer phase one, sewers at South phase one, which is the running of the sewer from the Golden Corners Commerce Park, he was complaining that no one was hooked up to it. In his ramblers, he was absolutely complaining. So, and now, we've got to run sewer down to exit one. Hey, did any of y'all see the $1 billion potential investment coming to Oconee County?
Yeah.
So what do you think about that?
Depends on what it is.
It depends on where it's going.
Yeah, we can't know.
No, we can't know.
What kind of jobs is, it's easy to get low paying jobs. I mean, is it a technology part?
We don't know.
Right.
Well,
right.
they got to
Yeah,
protect
no.
it and keep it hush hush because they got a deal. And then it won't be till the third reading when it's too late for anybody to stand up against some nuclear waste refinery to come here that we could go out and petition and say we don't want it. So they're not going to tell us what it is right until the last damn minute.
Rainey, that's it. They're putting the nuclear waste in here so when Duke Power leaves, they'll have a place to put all the glowing water. You got it. You nailed it.
I'm telling you what. I'm telling you right now, you have to listen to Ken Charles when he's just standing in front of the county council and he says Duke's leaving. It's true. It's true. Ken Charles knows all that stuff.
Hey, let me say one thing, guys. So, this uniparty, okay? These guys, it's like
The mascot is the unicorn,
well, it's
another
like
mythical creature.
And their theme song is.
Well, it's like when Durham gets in front of council and starts talking about the socialists and the communists, or when Penelope starts talking about the devil and how all this other crap. I mean, these guys are ignorant. So they come up with words because they're trying to throw shit on the wall to see what sticks, to tag people off. And the reason being is because they do not understand how to work with people. They do not understand about complex issues, and they don't know how to solve problems. That's why, and people won't like it, that's why Durham was pushing sanctuary for the unborn.
Oh, wait. We're not supposed to be. That's not county business. But I hear that we're going to write a letter to the governor over marijuana.
Oh my God in heaven!
Yeah.
Well, hey, listen. I want to before we get started on that crap. Listen, this morning I had breakfast and then went across the street and I drank coffee with the guys at the Colorado River Fire and Rescue, the 6-1 there in Rifle, Colorado. And we were talking about things that happen in Oconee County and the things that are happening in their neck of the woods. And one of the things they said that they got happening, and this kind of really struck with me, was they're like, there's always been rich people here, but the billionaires are coming in and they're pushing the millionaires out. And that's what's happening with this fake elitist group, fake common man group we got. They've always had the upper hand, a little bit of money, but now we got people coming in here that's got a little bit more money than them, and they're walking them out the door. So I wanted to put that thought in your head. They
Are they?
they
Are
spend old
you
money
saying dog walk them? They're
dog
dog
walking
walking
right
them.
out of the county. That's right. So big money coming from California and New York City, and them halfbacks coming from Florida. They're paying cash for this stuff. Charles Morgan's making a killing. I'm telling you, this is the same thing happening in Colorado as happening in Oconee County. The bigger money's coming, and that what we thought was big money is having to hit the road.
I'm not going to disagree with you because I've seen in
Yep.
just the last 10 years the demographics of Oconee County have changed. And to be honest, I believe I'm in a minority, the ones that grew up here, that were born and raised here. I'm a minority now. I don't believe that the longtime people that have lived here, I don't believe we're the majority anymore. I really
Well,
don't.
Oh, that's okay, Jeff.
Mendez was born here.
Do what, Randy? You broke up on us.
I said Soraya was born she was born in Oconee County. She's a local.
Yep.
She's from
Nothing
here.
wrong with that.
Who's a local?
That's that first generation stuff right there. You know, every time a child's born from somebody from California or whatever, they become local.
That's true. That's true. That's absolutely true. But, you know, I don't look at it anymore as that way. You know, maybe 20 or 30 years ago, I probably was one on that side that says, well, I was born and raised here, until I got to know these people, until I started
Especially
interacting with them. And I realized that these people have a lot more in common with me than I realized. And there's nothing wrong with them. You know, they moved here to get to have a better way of life. They enjoy what we have to offer. We know what we have to offer here is one of the greatest things. That's why people are coming here. We've got 3 lakes stacked on top of each other. Lake Kiwi, Lake Jocassee, and Duke Energy. That's what created the revolution that started changing Oconee County's landscape in the late 1960s and 70s. And then through the course of the 70s and through the course of the 80s, you know, Oconee owes a great deal to Duke Energy, Duke Power. Duke Power has made a lot of significant changes. But the problem that I have is something that happened Tuesday night in the county council meeting. And this really bothered me. Cathy, you and I discussed this in great detail. To set the scene, I don't have the video clip pulled up. I didn't have time. But to set the scene, it bothered me a great deal that there was a public comment session for someone sitting there talking about how bad and all this other stuff about marijuana. And Cathy, I'm going to go ahead and let you start your thoughts, and then I'm going to finish up. I'm going to let Chris have a thought and Rainey here. This really bothered me to hear the comments of John Elliott.
Yeah. What he came in, which, you know, public comments.
It's great.
Everybody's free to say whatever they want to. It was an older gentleman. He came in and he asked for the council to oppose the Compassionate Care Act. Now, I've posted on our page the South Carolina Compassionate Care Act. The Compassionate Care Act is for medical marijuana. It's the most stringent law in the United States. You have to have a specific list, fit into a specific list of medical needs. You get a 14-day supply of medical marijuana. You're monitored by a doctor. You generally got cancer, you've got multiple sclerosis, you've got something is medically wrong with you. It is not recreational at all. Nothing to do with recreational marijuana. Now, the speaker was a retired DEA agent. His presentation was 4 minutes long. They had to cut him off because he was going to talk. He went into how young people would be vaping marijuana. They would become bad workers, unproductive. It was typical law enforcement.
Cathy,
mentality.
let's go ahead and play real quickly. I think I've got his clips.
You got it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Needed. and none of them are vaped. Liberals are pushing marijuana legalization in the name of social justice. In fact, drug abuse is holding back many minority groups. Advocates make claims that simply aren't true. Based on experience of states that have already legalized marijuana, there won't be a tax revenue windfall, more likely not enough to regulate the marijuana industry and pay the additional health care and law enforcement costs. Organized crime won't go away because the drug cartels will be able to meet the higher demand with a cheaper product. They don't pay taxes. And the latest propaganda that marijuana reduces opioid abuse is simply not true. Marijuana and opioids are being used in tandem. Legalized in Colorado, crime rose 11 times faster than the national average. Marijuana-related automobile accidents doubled. Employee absenteeism and shoddy workmanship increased. More troubling though, the number of students in Colorado using marijuana rose to 4 times the national average. The number of school suspensions and dropouts climbed. We can expect similar results right here in Oconee County. So please, resolve against this harmful and senseless legislation. Don't let the health and well-being of our children go up in smoke.
All right, Cathy, go back. Back to you.
Okay. Okay. Here again, he's not talking about medicinal marijuana.
Nope.
He's talking about recreational marijuana. Colorado has recreational marijuana. The Compassionate Care Act is for medical marijuana only. The most restrictive law in the United States. I don't know. And he says propaganda. What he's pushing right there is propaganda.
Yep.
It's not truthful. It's a right-wing spin. And yeah, kind of gagged me. I don't know if you've ever had family with cancer. It's horrific. Opioids have really, really bad side effects. They make you nauseous. They give you headaches. They have rebound pain from taking opioids. They cause constipation. And if you take them for a long time, they can actually cause bowel obstruction and cause your bowels to rupture. So yeah, opioids in a long term are not great. So marijuana is a great alternative. I don't just think that, lots of people think that. The thing of it is, this fella is law enforcement, not an MD. And if his family member or he gets sick or has any of these medical conditions on there, he has the option to not use medical marijuana. He and his doctor can decide. I'm just, for one, am kind of tired of people trying to tell other people what to do. That's my thing. You don't want medical marijuana? Don't take it. But stop trying to make other people not have it. You don't have the condition or whatever. Sit down, take a seat, man. That's my second thing about this, was how quick the councilman was ready to write and make a resolution that is not county business, and that was ready to take a stand and drag everybody else along with him. Why? Why, man? Here again, Mr. Elliott, if you don't like medical marijuana and your family gets sick, don't use it. But don't take a stand and make it so that if it passes and you make an ordinance and a stand like that, does that mean that people in Oconee can't use medical marijuana? Is that what that's going to do?
Well,
Don't do that stuff.
Cathy, here's the deal. It goes back to last year when we had this with the newborn, this newborn sanctuary thing that, the folks brought before. And, John made the statement, this is not county business. Well, let me just refresh this. This is not a county issue. This is a state issue, and the state legislature needs to be the one to decide this for everyone in the state of South Carolina. Now, someone that has had cancer, and I've had family members that's had cancer, and let me tell you too, for almost 12 years, I suffered from debilitating back pain. I had a major back issue that required me in 2014 to have 2 surgeries. And you guys know what I'm dealing with right now. I'm having issues right now. Let me say for the record, prior to all of the doctors, we have an issue around here too at the time. All doctors, all they wanted to do was push narcotics. Let's just be honest. We had an issue with doctors that if you walked in, anything you want, you could have gotten. The doctors would give anything. Instead of trying to work towards a solution to fix the issue, they would give you a Venza, which is morphine, hydrocodone, oxys, anything you wanted. So don't necessarily sit here and blame. You've got to put the blame a little bit on these freewheeling doctors that were trying to make a quick buck. But when it comes to marijuana, there is documented cases that medical marijuana can help a patient with cancer, that can help a patient in debilitating back pain. For me, I chose to find a doctor that worked with me and then could offer something that would work. And I trust this doctor. That's why I drive 5 hours away from here for care to get my back spine fusion. He gave me 9 years of pain free. There's an issue now. He's working with me. It's all different. But if somebody is debilitating pain and they need relief, you know what? It's not for the government to decide. This needs to be the best situation that can be decided by medical doctors and allow the patient to make that decision. Yeah, this is not about giving everybody a chance to go get a free toke and smoke on the wacky tobacco and have a little bit of fun. This is for people that are suffering, that there's documented case. And also, here's another thing. We have opened up the Pandora box with these hemp fields. When we approved hemp, the hemp will do this and hemp will do that, and you have to be this. So you've already opened up a portion. Yes, it's not supposed to have THC in it, but you've also opened up a window in South Carolina when you approved all these farmers to grow hemp. Hemp this, hemp that. Why do you think you drive down 123 and you see all these shops? They got hemp, they've got Delta T, Delta 8, Delta 9, all of these derivatives now, because they do work, like the gummy tea, the gummy hemps, and all this, that, and the other stuff. It works.
But not regulated like medical.
It's not regulated. And it needs to be, if you're wanting to solve the issue, it needs to be in a regulated form. And I'll give the state legislature a standing O for trying to do this Compassionate Act, because this is something that should have been done years ago.
Yeah.
Rainey, go ahead.
Well, here's the thing. I've been in the truck for 2,500 miles. And from the time we left South Carolina, got into Georgia, North Carolina, Tennessee, we started seeing marijuana shops, dispensaries. On Broadway in Nashville, the Gypsy dispensary, Gypsy pharmacy or whatever, right there in Broadway in Nashville, there's left-handed cigarettes everywhere. We go all the way through Missouri and Kansas. We got to the St. Louis Arch. Right by the Capitol building, there's a dispensary. You keep going west and you get into Colorado. We drove right into Denver, went into Golden, Colorado. I went up to American Legion, support them, had a beer. Went up over the mountain. There's dispensaries everywhere. We got into Utah and Arizona. They're here. Guess how much dope I've smoked?
None.
Yeah.
None, because it doesn't interest me.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: if we're going to be free, and we're going to say that we conservatives want liberty for everybody, but a lot of us need to just mind our own damn business.
Yes. Thank
Amen.
you.
And stay out of a lot of stuff.
People are going to do what they want to do.
All these places that I've been, that are they know what real liberty is. They're letting people do things, and they've got nice roads, and they've got nice sidewalks, and they've got nice businesses, and they've got
Nice
schools.
schools.
They don't have. There's no Wahamas. There's no fair plays out here. This whole thing is stay out of other people's business.
Yep.
And one thing before I go, Jeff, a while ago you kept saying them and those people and those guys that moved here. When we stop in Oconee County, when we stop saying you people or those people, and we start saying we, that's when the county's going to be working.
Well, did you listen to my comments? I said I was one of those at one time.
And couldn't hear nothing.
Right. Well, I said at one time that's what I thought, and that's what I said. But then at the end of the conversation, yeah, we're all one now. We have to work together. I'm not that person that I was 10 or 20 years ago when I thought the same thing. They come in, I've learned more, and we're all on the same page. So yes,
Right now, I'm 66 miles from Las Vegas. We're going to have a great time, but I guarantee you, I'm not going to do anything here that I wouldn't do in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Are you going to rub a leprechaun's butt?
You know, if I found one in South Carolina, I might.
I want you to see if you can find one out there and rub the leprechaun's butt. I sure did like pots of gold years ago.
So let me make.
But the whole thing is it's a liberty issue and a morality issue. Let's think about what the OCC and their leadership thinks about selling drugs, marijuana especially.
Okay. So Joe,
Let's let them come out against selling marijuana.
all right.
Rainey, you make
Go ahead.
you make a good point, Rainey.
Let me give my perspective.
Okay.
Okay, so I understand what Randy's saying, and I understand about the liberty and everything else, but I want to make it more basic than that. So you have a family member or a friend or anybody that's in pain, and there before the grace of God go you. Pain, debilitating pain that can, like Cathy says, cannot be fixed by what is available with oxycodone or whatever else. But this medical marijuana is something that's been approved by researchers to help people that have pain. So you get people like this dude that goes before the council and everybody else. They sit there and they just pick off little outliers on data points to make a case, to make a political statement, just like he did at the end when he said, don't let it go up in smoke. Okay, guy, so what? But the point is this: somebody is in pain. They're not doing something illegally, but you have a doctor, and you got bad doctors, and you got the mainstream that's the better doctors and the best doctors. They're trying to help. So if you want to help your family member alleviate debilitating pain, knowing a lot of them are dying, what are you going to do? You're going to get on your high horse. Oh, no, you're going to not go back in that factory and you're going to be getting shitty grades. Well, Jesus, I'm like 70 years old, man. I'm in a lot of pain. So that is bad. And what needs to happen is this. I think some things should be regulated very strongly, but I also believe people have a right for medical decisions between them and their medical doctors. That is their business. And I also believe that we need to have some empathy. When you have somebody that's at the end of their life and somebody is in debilitating pain, and especially your family member, that's like, all they're saying, begging, I want to get rid of this pain. I've just died. I need to go to God. What are you going to do? That's when you open the door, like a lot of the countries do, under very, very stringent regulated situations, you start talking about euthanasia. I mean, what we need to do at the end of the day is we need to have empathy for each other. And this is not about politics. This is being a decent human, and people getting off their high horse like this guy, and they're talking about politics and literally start talking about what it means to be a good person and actually give a damn about somebody. And that's it.
All right. Well, have we reached the end of our show? Wow. What a great show tonight, guys and gals.
It's wild.
It's just crazy.
It's easy to see how we wound up with the sewer, though, when you can make a decision that quick. Man, I just wish I had gone up there and asked for a couple things, though, if that's how quick and easy it is.
Well,
I got a couple things I want to ask for.
I kind of want to alert you to some other things that are happening real quick, and these will be for next week's discussion. We're talking about development and the issue that's happening right now on the 123 on the Clemson side.
Oh, yeah.
Get ready, because something could be happening here in the Seneca area that's going to be real close to me. We'll have more details next Thursday about that. Another apartment complex is coming. And I mean, it's close, very close to to the shopping centers up here at
We're not
Applewood Shopping
growing
Center.
though, man.
No,
We're
we're not growing at all.
Yeah, we're Durham. Hey, you know what? This is exactly what
No,
I was
zero
talking
growth.
Yeah, everything's
Zero
coming
growth.
in.
And
The
I
thing-
don't know what the hell I'm talking about, according to Nixon, Woodruff Road, surrounded by residential areas.
I'm telling you,
ready,
Woodruff
baby.
Road. Hey, Woodruff Road is just right down the road in Clemson right now. Anything around the Hartwell Village and all of that, that's Woodruff Road times 2 right now. Give it 2 more years, and it'll be Woodruff Road times 4. It's coming, and it's happening right before our eyes. Biggest thing that I'm afraid of is Oconee County prepared, and the answer is no.
Hell no.
Oconee is not prepared for infrastructure. We're putting our area development in areas that make no sense. But it's so funny to go back, and I did this today, to read the PRAM and that Sewer South Phase 1 was a waste, and no one's using it. In his words, Sewer South Phase 1 was a waste. But now, in 2023, it's the greatest thing. You got to do it.
Well, I looked back at an old news article, and I think Mr. McCall was opposed to the Sewer South project.
Yes.
Oh? Well,
Yes.
Is that not correct?
That is correct.
I believe so too.
How
So,
wins, how the greed before need, Jennifer?
It's like I said, I've told you all this before, and everyone listening, all you need to do is follow the money.
Mm-hmm.
If you follow the money, you will get your answer who is running Oconee County. You 4 know.
Yeah, we do.
But the rest of the people need to follow the money and just open your eyes, and you will find out who runs Oconee County. And it's not us. It's not the OCC. It's not the citizens. Follow the money. All right. Final thoughts from everybody.
Are we? Yes. Well, you call it out. Who's going first?
Chris, I'm going to let you go first, and then Rainey's next, and Cathy will conclude it, and then I'll get out of here.
Okay. So I'm going to make this quick. Now, I didn't grow up here, okay? And everybody knows it. I live on the lake, so right out of the gate, I got a big X across my head, okay?
You're the enemy.
But I've been saying all along, I said, you have no understanding how bad it's going to get. We have totally opened the door based on the OCC and the county council not standing up. And then they appointed a planning council simply to deflect, who has no power. And now they're talking about a, quote, urban planner. Guys, like I said when I made my presentation, it won't do anything because the politics will override anything you're trying to do. You need objectivity from the outside. You need professionals, because the only thing residents understand in this county is when it's in front of their face and they're saying, holy shit, you're telling me that my property taxes are going to more than double, and this place is going to be worse than anything I've ever seen. It's happening. You're seeing it happen. I am telling you, I told you so. And I'm going to tell you, you go to one of those bars, if they got that bucking bronco thing you ride, you wait. In about a year or two, and you look at the amount of money that we're going to have to spend that will not fix what we've caused, and you're going to hang on, because that's exactly what's happening. And it's all because you listen to the people like the OCC. You did not have a council that was strong enough to say, listen, guys, shut up. We need to do the right thing. Because like Jeff says, follow the money. The problem is nobody will do the right thing and stand up, period. And I'm not running for office. I'm just telling you the way it is.
Oh, yes, you are. We're nominating you for district number 1.
Well, it depends on what my press secretary, Cathy, says, and my media advisor, Jazzy, says.
No, I'm going to be your campaign manager, and I'm going to show you how you're going to win.
No. You know why? Because I couldn't listen to bullshit for more than 5 minutes before I start bitching at somebody. They say, get out of here, Ruin. Wait a minute, I'm a council member. We don't care. You can't say that. And I say, okay, well, I tried. And that's it. Because you got to do the right thing, guys. You got to do the right thing. And a lot of people aren't listening, but you will listen when the shit hits the fan, and it's already hit.
I believe you could get more votes than the writing candidate. Let's go to Rainey next.
All right. Hey, glad to be here. I'm glad to be in Nevada or wherever I am. I tell you, it's been a great time. Compassionate care. Absolutely. I didn't talk about that a while ago. If somebody's suffering, anything and everything that they can have. I've got a lot of friends who are wounded warriors, and they're begging the VA, just begging the VA to give us the opportunity to use marijuana and keep our benefits. So when that guy stood up there and he said, well, the VA says blah, 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 blah. Well, again, that's the federal government trying to regulate something that they don't have any business in. Let the veterans, let the folks with epilepsy, let the cancer patients, let them be. Let them have what they need to feel okay. And then if recreational stuff, just mind your own business. That's it.
Yeah.
So working together, I think we can bring the county forward the decades that it's behind right now. But it's going to be painful. It's going to hurt. And people like the Booger Eater and Wayne McCall and all those old school folks that's been keeping the county down for so long, they just need to be identified and canceled. Period.
All right, Cathy, you're next.
Yeah, one thing I to sum it all up, one thing that I didn't think about, and I wanted to tack on, people are worried about recreational marijuana. Kids are going to try things. Your kids are going to do things. It being illegal isn't going to stop it. So the thing to think about it now is it's not like it was when we were kids, and there's fentanyl out there, and kids can get a hold of a joint or something like that with fentanyl in it, and it could end their lives. So if it ever was to become legal and they got a hold of something, then they're not going to die from it. So that's a good takeaway from legalized marijuana in other states. If you want to look at an upside to legalized marijuana for the recreational purpose. But I'm in full support of the Compassionate Care Act, and I hope that anybody that sees it, I posted it on the website if anybody's got any questions about it. But write your representatives if you support it, and tell them that you support it. And also write the councilman and tell him that you support it. And you don't want him writing the governor and telling him not to support it.
How was it placed this week? The governor's arse? Didn't I see a post about somebody saying it was the governor's arse?
Yeah,
That's what I thought, the governor's arse.
That was great.
I would like to know what that particular guy thinks about selling dope.
Well,
yeah. Yeah, do we really? Maybe we should ask Lindsey Graham what he thinks about that guy and selling dope.
Yeah, true. I totally agree with that. Well, first of all, I've got a couple of final thoughts here. Do what, Rainey? Okay. He said something and then he disappeared. Now he's gone in a bad cell area.
And then he got really big.
Yeah, he got really big. Okay.
No, I was saying,
yeah, he got really big. Okay. Yep. Well, that's a good idea. Let's do that. Well, this yesterday evening at about 5:54 p.m., Ramcat Alley has a new name now. Literally.
What?
Yep. Had a car that was trying to parallel park. The car, well, let's just say the new bookstore has a drive-through now.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did they?
Yeah. Backed in over the new bookstore. So totally destroyed the front. But what's funny about it, the car didn't get a scratch on it, but destroyed the front. Yeah. So now Ramcat Alley really means Ramcat Alley. Do you get it? Do you get it? Ram?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. That was a joke. I had to do that. All right. This week has been one of a challenge for me. It started Sunday. I actually started Sunday evening. The older you get, the old saying is when you have deaths around you, they come in threes. This Sunday evening, I lost a very good personal friend of mine that I worked with at Clemson University. His name was Barry Bowen. And 2 years ago, he was diagnosed with ALS. And he passed away peacefully in his sleep Sunday. But yesterday evening, I received another shock. Someone here in Seneca that everyone loved, Roger Duncan, who was a photographer for many years around here, a good close personal friend of mine. Also served our country as a National Guard. He was a recruiting officer for many, many years, and he retired from the Guard. We lost him yesterday, and the world seems a little bit darker now because of those two great people that I knew and respected. And, you know, there's one thing about life. You're not guaranteed tomorrow. You're never guaranteed a second. But I really appreciate those two having been part of my life to guide me through many times and questions and things that I've ever had. And I sure am going to miss them. And the older I get, the more I realize that I hate getting old. It really sucks. So that's it. A good job all the way around. And Rainey, I'm so proud of you.
One more thing.
Okay, one more thing.
Hey, last week I asked on the show if any of those preachers wanted to come forward about the tithings and community support of that failed candidate. I didn't get any emails. Did you guys?
No, the only email I got was one telling me that that they want to know why my radio station is a bunch of Republican nonsense. That's the only email I got, that the radio station is a bunch of Republican nonsense.
My letter. Oh, I'm joking.
It wasn't ruined, by the way.
I guess when we head back, we're going through Texas. I'll go through Houston, and I'll just ask Joel himself what his thoughts are on that.
Can you, by the way, can you stop in at South Fork? I really got the hots for Sue Ellen. Can you bring her back to South Carolina for me? I love Dallas.
I'll find out who shot JR.
Yeah, well, we know who shot JR. Holy day. I've been watching Dallas reruns, and I'm hooked. I love Dallas.
Hey,
J.R. Ewing is a misunderstood genius.
I can't wait to get to Texas so I can go to Buc-ee's.
We're sending, when the one opens up down here in Anderson, we're sending Chris live broadcast to ride the Buc-ee's bull.
All right, yeah.
I would
that's
do
what
it.
I'm talking about.
I'd do it for my campaign.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us. Let's Talk OconeeSC.com is our website. Again, thank you for being a part of our show. And we will be back. Are we going to be live next Thursday? Wait a minute. No, we cannot do next Thursday. We need to come up with a new date because next Thursday is the official start of Jazz on the Alley. And I'll be downtown Seneca next Thursday. So in the weeks coming up, we need to discuss a new time and new day for the show. I love the Spice Girls. Ginger Spice was a hottie, and so was Scary Spice as well. All right, folks, that's it. We'll see you next time here on Let's Talk OconeeSC.com. All right, guys, hang on.